Independent music, the triangle of musicians, fans and music professionals. This is Tim from the Indie Bands blog, and welcome once again. Who's on today? Let's go find out. Hi and welcome to episode 1 of Indie Music Tips, and this week I'm going to have a conversation with Francesca Baker about live music. And Francesca does lots and lots of things, including writing and So She Thinks, produces a radio show for Shoreditch Radio, organises events, and there's loads more. Hi Francesca.
Hi, how are you doing?
I'm very well. Thanks for waking me up so early this morning. So kind of you. So yeah, what else is it that you do? I've got some of those, but what else do you do?
I like music, I guess. So I do anything I can to kind of be involved in that, and so to kind of spread the word. So yeah, I run a couple of music zines, and I write for my own blog. And So She Thinks, write for various magazines across the web as well. So there's kind of like Who's Jack's, Enemy Music, One on One. Organise events. So over the last couple of years, organised weekly gigs, as well as kind of bigger one-off things. So places kind of the Old Blue Last in London, and Mini Festival last year. And then what else do I do? Yeah, just done a bit of record label stuff. Just anything I can really to shout about good music and stuff I like.
So basically, if it moves in music, then you might well be involved.
Yeah, in some ways, yeah. I just can't play it, so I'm like, right, I'll get involved in any other way.
So live music. Obviously, we can talk about London, which is great, but lots of the people listening to this aren't actually in London. Although lots of people would like to play there, so your experience in there would be great to talk about as well. But let's have a look at a band. Okay, I've got a band and I'm just starting up the road and I'm thinking, I want to go and play at a venue. How do I do that? What's your advice to musicians either starting out to get their first set of gigs, or to those that are saying, okay, well, I've played this place 1,000 times and I now need to go and broaden where I'm playing and get a new fan base?
Probably head down to the nights that you're thinking, on the venue you're thinking of playing to start with. Venues and promoters get so many different emails all the time, just always coming through. And if you build up that personal connection, you're much more likely to get some kind of response. Obviously, if you're not based in London or the city you're looking to play in, that can be difficult. I think probably in terms of kind of finding the right venues for you, look at similar bands. I think lots of bands seem to kind of focus on themselves and forget about the music scene that they are part of. And it's very easy to be, okay, right, it's all about the music rather than the scene, and scene almost becomes a dirty word. But you are part of these, and there's lots of people who are also really passionate about music, and they're out there playing as well. So see where they're playing, see if you can spot gigs.
Okay, so it's all about, to start off with, is building connections, really.
Yeah, definitely. Kind of building up, showing people you have that passion for music in your local area or in the area you're looking at, rather than just promoting yourself, I suppose. People are always more willing to do favours and get people on board when they know that they're doing it for the right reasons.
Yeah. What about you when you're organising events yourself? Do you find it difficult to get bands that want to play, or do you find you've got so many bands that you don't know who to choose? How do you go about
Definitely.
From the other side of it?
I don't know if this is primarily a bit of a London issue, that the scene is saturated with bands and venues. There are so many bands out there who want to play. Every night you have the option of 7 or 8 gigs, like really, really good gigs, as well as hundreds of open mic nights and bits and pieces across the city. So it's difficult to know, I suppose, find that quality, and know where you should be going and where you should be looking. I tend to be booking a mixture of bands that have contacted me, and then bands that I've kind of gone out and discovered, have seen that they're getting a bit of buzz locally, they're doing really well, just really like their music. And if you're contacting someone, I think the main thing, just make it easy for them.
Yes, yeah, I'm with you on that. I always talk to bands about this, and obviously as a blogger, I'm I get bands through by email predominantly, and I always say, look, put together an EPK, so I just go to one URL and I can find everything.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and if I have to search, there's so many emails coming through. If I have to search everything, it's less likely that you're going to be listening to it. So just a link to everything there. Don't just say you're a 4-piece garage band, because everyone's a 4-piece garage band. And just make it easy, I suppose. And, what are you going to bring that's slightly different?
Sure. Okay, so you're at the gig and you're playing. Now, one thing that really annoys me, and I don't know how you feel about it, is that you go to a venue, to a band you've never seen before, you really like them, they go off stage and you never see them again. I think that bands kind of are missing opportunity to come back out front and talk to people.
Yeah, definitely. First, say who you are. So many bands on partway through, they said who they are at the start, but if you haven't been there since the very start, then how do you know who they are? Just keep mentioning how we're these people. You can find out about us here. And I totally agree that it's being involved, coming out as a crowd. You don't even have to be with your mailing list, which kind of makes sense. You don't have to be doing that. It's just about watching the other bands and engaging with the crowd and talking to them, and again, I suppose showing that you're very much into the music. You're not just there to play and run away home again. Again, that's another bugbear. We can talk about that a little bit later. I think really, I guess, just tell people about your next event. Give them a reason to go up and look you up. And do have mailing lists around, or in exchange for a badge or something like that. Sweeties. People sign anything for sweeties.
There we are. The tip of the day, a bag of sweets gets you a long way in the industry.
Definitely. Give something back to people rather than... Everyone's going out and saying, can I have your email, please? Can I have your email? And it's obviously a fantastic way of communicating with people, and it is really important. But I give out my email all the time, and I never end up reading anything, because so much stuff comes through. So just think about, okay, what have I given them in exchange for it?
What about merchandising? Again, I've been to some of the London venues, and some just seem to have lost the idea that they can actually do some merchandising there. And I'm not sure if that's down to the venue or whether that's just down to the bands. Perhaps London is unique, I don't know.
I think there's a mix of both. Like, quite often venues aren't really willing to do the sales part of it. So then you have to set up, find your table, be selling things and that. Maybe I think some bands find that a bit hard. I guess kind of cost as well of the actual merchandise in itself. So it's not even the going out and selling it, it's the getting it all produced to start with. With no real knowledge of whether it's going to go anywhere or not, whether you're going to...
Sure. And I have spoken to a few bands about that aspect, the very, very aspect of what you buy. And I suppose that one way to get around that is, let's say you're selling T-shirts, because everyone sells T-shirts. Yep. Instead of ordering 5,000 T-shirts, and okay, you might miss some sales, but if you order just a few of each size and take orders, you've got an email that you can contact the person on, you're getting a T-shirt ordered for them, and you've got a sale there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so you kind of have like 2 or 3 and you're just showcasing what's there. And that, I think it's a great idea, because it also allows you to keep up a dialogue. So you haven't just sold them the T-shirt and then they're gone. You contact them again and they're like, oh, here's your T-shirt, and then you can send follow-up email, oh, I hope you got your T-shirt, stuff like that. It just helps to build up a bit of an engagement, I suppose. And there's also the idea of collaborating with other bands. So if you're in a particular kind of, I don't know, in a city or something, and you've got a few different bands, you can quite often you buy 500 T-shirts, you could get a couple of different designs, and that helps reduce the cost. Just think about who you know and how you can kind of collaborate on stuff. Again, make friends with sweeties, potentially.
I think I'm going to carry that one away. I'm going to put that onto the website. Buy sweets. Forget everything else. Buy sweets. You were going off when we were talking about bands disappearing after the set. And you said, oh, there's something else about that irritates you. Where were you going with that?
Why? I thought you were in a band because you like music. And then just come along and play on my set and disappear. I mean, for a start, if you've got 3 bands there, 4 people in them, that's 12 people that helps boost up your crowd.
Yeah.
So that's always a great thing to do. Talk to the other bands afterwards as well, because they're going to know people that you don't. You might get a slot on one of their gigs, so that's exposing you to a whole new crowd. It's just a much, much easier way, I suppose, of meeting people who know people who can help you out.
Yeah.
And just, yes, again, kind of showing, right, I'm interested in this music, it's been fun. And just a bit of appreciation, I suppose, as well, for perhaps either the venue or the bands or the promoters. It kind of goes a long way if you're talking to people.
Okay. And what other tips have you got?
Let me see. I think be a bit creative with where you're playing or what you're doing. So, like guerrilla gigs, bits and things like that. Don't get arrested, clearly, but don't just stay in the same pubs all the time. Think about maybe you'd be playing like a local library or a cafe or something like that, just to a slightly different audience. Maybe there's an event where you can tie something in, and don't play too often as well, I think.
Yeah, that was something I was going to ask you about. How often to play live, and because you do sometimes come across bands that have got the same set, playing the same venue every Friday, and I'm sure that's great because they like playing music, but actually not really helping much with their business. Yeah,
totally. I think maybe play local small pubs and stuff, move around, and definitely do that, but perhaps don't advertise them as much. And then think about your bigger gigs that you're advertising, like every other month or something like that. Just build up a bit of demand. If you're always playing, if people know they can go and see you this week or next week or next week, they'll wait till next week, and that next week will never ever come. So
sure.
Build up that anticipation, and much more likely to be there, I think. And also, you stop kind of bugging your friends. It's always really nice though when you get a crowd of people that they're not just your friends. And I think you have to perhaps work in advance a little bit and give people a reason to want to come and see you if you're doing that.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. I was thinking about my Facebook wall where I don't know how many bands inviting me along to their gig, and to be honest, there are too many of them, so I never look at any.
Yeah, exactly.
It gets to that point. We're all saturated with information that we just haven't got time to absorb.
Do you think it's saturated with information or saturated with music?
I think it's saturated with information.
There's just so much going on.
I'm thinking from what else I do. I do the music stuff, then I've got a few other things. And from your point of view, I know that you also write about other things. So it's not just music material that's coming through. It's just a plethora of things. And it's difficult. And if you're not in the industry at all, you're on say Facebook to catch up with a few of your friends, and you get 57 gigs that you can go to tonight, then you're probably going to go, no, I don't understand. So it is difficult. It is difficult for musicians to really work out how to do it. But your advice is, okay, have your local venues that you play to, build up your fan base, and then look to grow and play wider.
Yeah, look at bands perhaps around the country or something, or in different areas, and consider doing some kind of tour, like a swap. So you each arrange a gig, say a monthly gig in your local city, and then you get 5 bands together, and you just all kind of rotate around. So you've got this kind of a tour going on there.
Sure.
You can all promote it. You're kind of cross-referencing and stuff like that. Yeah, I think it's just a lot about sharing resources.
Yeah, I think you're right, because if there is as you say, if there's just the one band that people know what they're going to see, if you're with 3, 4, 5 other bands, then you're likely to bring in an audience that actually none of those 5 bands know about.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm thinking more so outside London, where people are perhaps a little bit, and that's a really broad, sweeping generalisation, but I do get the sense there's a reluctance in certain areas around the UK for people to go and see anyone new. And I know that New York suffers from that terribly. People go along, they go to they play, and they might be playing on a band night with 5 bands, and as soon as they finished, then their friends are gone, and the next band comes on, and they start all over again.
Yeah, I think there's a bit... kind of goes both ways. So I've been to gigs where the audience for each band is completely different, because you are just there to see the one band that you like. So you have like hundreds of people through the door, but there will never be more than 50 in the room at the same time because they each have to get one band. I think perhaps it's less so though in some ways in London, than in other cities, just because there's a central hub. So you kind of you go to a particular venue and you know you're going to see quality music there. You don't. Whereas, like myself, I very rarely just go to. If there's 10 bands on and I know that 3 of them are meant to be good, I'm much more likely to go and see them.
Yeah.
Whereas if there's just one venue, that's the only place you can go in your city, in your town or whatever, but you know that every night there's some good music there, perhaps a bit more likely to go out and investigate something you haven't seen before.
Mm-hmm.
I also find that within London it's quite competitive perhaps as well, whereas in other cities around the country, and I'm guessing kind of further afield as well, I certainly found that a little bit when I was out in Sao Paulo just on holiday before Christmas. People are more willing to kind of help each other out. You've got, say, like Blessing Force in Oxford. In Leeds, there's loads of kind of like community zines. They've got lots of events together. And it's really just lots of people who love music kind of hanging out together and doing what they can to spread that rather than competing against each other.
Sure. Now, thinking slightly broader field, you've mentioned you've been off to Sao Paulo. As I started off when we started speaking, the people that are reading the website are an international audience, and in fact only 40% of the people that read the site are in the UK. So I'm out in Oregon and I want to play in London. Any thoughts as to how I might make that happen?
I don't know, I guess it's that whole kind of like unlimited funds would be nice and stuff, have to go there. One thing I have heard of that seems to work quite well is some of the kind of more like emerging countries, like maybe to kind of music. So, for example, like Brazil as well, you can get lots of kind of sponsorship from government or arts councils and things like that. I think that's definitely something that's worth looking into. How can you make this just more than just kind of you going over for a gig? How can you kind of, we're going to promote music around the world, we're going to be doing something for the city, etc. Don't think you have to be quite rock and roll and going down like kind of the anarchy route. You can ask the establishment and people that are interested in stuff, and there is quite often a lot of stuff there.
I think you're exactly right on that, and I also know there's funding available in the UK through some of these. They're quite hard to get, but there are grants about.
Yeah, and that again is where perhaps being involved with other people. If there's 5 bands and you're all talking about we're doing something really really good for. Get 5 Oregon bands together. We all want to go abroad. Showcase Oregon is a great music place. You're much more likely to get something there than if it's you kind of going to and saying, we're making them go abroad. I think I don't know really. It's tough doing international bookings because people don't know much about you. So I think one of probably the best ways is to try and hook up with a band that like kind of they're local to you that are perhaps going abroad. See if you can do stuff with them, or even bands that kind of going out, take stuff with them, show like take CDs with them and things, and kind of help them spread the word about you.
I guess the real takeaway from what you've been talking about is you've got to network, you've got to know people, and not sit in isolation.
Yeah, totally. I think if you're interested in music, there's so many other people that are interested in music, and for any other kind of hobby or something, you would go out and talk to people about what you love. So why not with music? You shouldn't just, once you start kind of playing music, that shouldn't kind of narrow your focus too much. I think you need to still be interested in what else is going on out there, and that interest will kind of help generate leads and work for you.
And the other thing that you talked about was playing in alternative sorts of venues.
Yeah.
Are you talking there about just going to a different venue and playing something different, or are you talking about exposing yourself as more than just a musician?
No, more or less exposing yourself to different audiences. So, clearly, I love music, but I quite like reading, I quite like writing. I'm a well-rounded individual, I'd like to say. And sometimes you go out and there's always going to be some bands that you don't particularly like or something, or you have a Friday night and it's okay, do I go to local literary event or the local music or local comedy night or something? And there's lots of things that people like, and they like to entertain them. So I've been doing some work with an events company called Booked, and they organise kind of literary events that are, I guess, ways kind of they take themselves experiencing kind of worlds through words. It's just bringing together different communities, different genres. And we've had some really, really lovely nights where we've had, say, like 2 or 3 acoustic acts, 2 or 3 either poetry readings or performance poetry and different readings. And it's been absolutely lovely because you are exposing yourself to slightly different audiences. There's definitely a kind of similar link there. It's all about kind of words and whether those words become lyrics and set to music, or whether those words are just performed. So I think just broadening the kind of things you're doing. Don't think, right, okay, I'm a musician, therefore I'm only going to go to people that are 100% kind of that music's their life.
Sure. Yeah, I had a look at And So She Thinks, which is your website, and that in itself is very broad. You obviously have music predominantly and broadly displayed, but there's all sorts of stuff on there which makes it for an interesting website. So I guess what you're talking about there is you're not only are you preaching it, but you're doing it yourself, which is good.
Yeah, like I say, kind of interested in lots of different things, and So She Thinks is very much a hub for all of those, rather than necessarily kind of a music blog and stuff. But that's what I'm interested in. And I think, I definitely find that from going to like different events and stuff like that, it's good to just be challenged by something or exposed to something a little bit new.
And the other thing that you're involved in, which is being recorded shortly, is your radio show on Shoreditch Radio. That's an internet station.
It is, yeah.
That's available on the internet. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
I'll get the URL for that put down. Or in fact, you can say it as well anyway. And your show there's called Thoughts and Rhythms. That's coming out starting next week, I believe. Yeah.
So again, kind of primarily music, but there will be some of my just random musings on that music, as well as other bits kind of brought in as well. Going to have a few live bands in studios. We'll be recording them. So again, if you want to get your music out there, contact me. You can be on my radio show. And I think just a kind of a chance to. I'm going to be chatting about music anyway, so people might as well listen to it.
I'm going to book it in as soon as you tell me when it's going to be on. I shall take a listen. And also, there was a possibility that we might be able to do something with these broadcasts over time.
Yes.
Although, as you said, you don't want to broadcast yourself talking, which is probably I'm self-recording a recording.
Yeah, exactly. So here's an interview with myself. But definitely in future, it'd be great to have.
I look forward to that. And so, first thing is connect. And get to know people, and that probably is the big takeaway. And secondly, sweets. Make sure you have plenty of sweets to give away. Yeah,
and they help you connect. Just think outside the box. I think is the main thing. Definitely make friends who love music like you.
Thanks very much for your time, Francesca. Really appreciate it, and hopefully we can talk about something else in the future. It'd be great to have you back if you're up for that.
Yeah, plenty to say. Don't worry, I'll make it a little bit later next time.
Yes, it's so kind, so kind. And don't forget, you can get hold of Francesca Baker through her website, and So She Thinks. That's .co.uk, I believe.
Yeah, so Francesca and So She Thinks.co.uk.
And you're also on Twitter?
Yeah, and So She Thinks.
Well, that's easy. And So She Thinks, just Google it and you will find Francesca Baker. Thanks a lot. I'll speak to you again soon.
Yeah, thank you. Speak soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. My thanks to William Street Strikers for the permission to use Nowhere to Go as the theme music for this series. And you can download most of their material, if not all of it, at williamstreetstrikers.com.